Now, there's absolutely no doubt about it at all that 2023 was the worst year for Marvel Studios, and let alone for the Walt Disney Company. But specifically looking at the MCU, we know that everything related to the Marvels film featuring Brie Larson was the worst MCU box office opening in history. That's exactly why the Disney executives went into full panic mode, why Kevin Feige remained very quiet about the Marvels. Ever since December of 2023, there really hasn't been much talk about that from him. But what's interesting about this has a lot to do with She-Hulk actress Tatiana Maslany and what form of serious action she recently took against the Disney heads, including Bob Iger. Let's discuss. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You could also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So we all know that the MCU is very rocky right now. We know that Captain America 4 is going way over budget. You know, all the reshoots have brought this budget to well above $400 million, and it's not looking good so far. This movie looks like it may very well be doomed to fail. But focusing on everything related to Tatiana Maslany, who's only creating more drama at both Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company, well, things recently got worse. Let's get into this. Now, one thing about Maslany, and I've talked about this before many times, is that she is yet another great example of an actress that is very much self-absorbed, that really doesn't really care about what people have to say or any kind of criticism out there. She is the one, by the way, that says that She-Hulk had a silent majority, quote-unquote, where really the minority actually did not like it. That's basically what she was saying, that most people enjoyed the film and that everyone else that had criticism was on the minority scale. But what's interesting about this is that with all divisions at the Walt Disney Company endlessly falling into multiple setbacks and challenges, one major development now has more to do with She-Hulk actress Tatiana Maslany already battling the Disney heads in a desperate move to reverse her firing from multiple Marvel projects. So we talked about this months ago after she was fired from multiple Marvel projects, I should say, and everything else related to the MCU. Now, one crucial update to this situation now involves how Tatiana Maslany reportedly successfully teamed up with Marvel boss Kevin Feige in a last-ditch effort to provide Tatiana a massive role in the upcoming Avengers 5 film as one of the Avengers. This is something that Kevin Feige is pushing Disney executives to double down on, and specifically is trying to get Bob Iger to reverse Tatiana Maslany's firing. It turns out that Tatiana was in the phase of taking some form of legal action against the Walt Disney Company after she was not only fired and removed from Avengers 5 and Secret Wars initially, but also the fact that, of course, she was going to have a couple of cameos and smaller roles in the MCU along with that as She-Hulk that ended up not happening in the long run. Tatiana reportedly took the firing very personally and claimed that Bob Iger did this in the wrong and broke her already signed contract deal, something that Kevin Feige is currently aware of and recently decided to group up with Tatiana to reason with Disney on the possibility of providing her a role in Avengers 5 and Secret Wars. However, to this day, Bob Iger is still not budging and views Tatiana's behavior and what happened behind the scenes as irresponsible. Now, this had to do with Maslany demanding a higher payout in her contract deal for new appearances of She-Hulk, and that after season 2 was cancelled, Maslany was warning Bob Iger and the executives of all of them, of course, creating some form of a lawsuit against them. In addition to that, the only reason why Kevin Feige is now siding with Tatiana is that he believes that there is indeed a silent majority of fans that remained unspoken about their positive feelings and outlook of She-Hulk. Even currently, Tatiana already demanded Disney in a new negotiation to up her payout, or else she is willing to take legal action if they decide to not provide her a role in films like Avengers Secret Wars and Avengers 5, since she was claiming that false promises were given to her initially Tatiana was pushing the Disney heads to pay her an estimated $12 million for her appearances in Avengers 5, and roughly $10 million for her actual appearance in Avengers Secret Wars, as opposed to the previously discussed $5 and $7 million for both films. Now, Disney was unwilling to up her payout, which led to her recent firing months ago from multiple projects within the MCU. Even though her contract was not final, she does claim that they were. Now, guys, let me just stop here quick before I move on. Now, it seems like a lot of these actresses, like those like Tatiana Maslany, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Brie Larson, they're all similar. They always claim that their contract was all complete, and they never seem to understand the, complex nature of contracts at many times, and different pathways that happen throughout those contracts. Now, what's interesting about this has a lot to do with the fact that now you got Kevin Feige siding with Tatiana Maslany. I'm not really all that surprised. I'm not a big fan of Feige anymore, to be honest. I think that everything ended, whichever way you want to look at it, with either Avengers Endgame or No Way Home. Ever since then, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, on the movie scale, has been going downhill. I think that, yes, Loki Season 2 was maybe the exception, but beyond that, movie-wise, everything really truly ended with Endgame as far as I see things. I'm sure a lot of you out there will agree with me on that, but the fact that we have Kevin Feige now changing his mind and siding with, of course, Tatiana and saying, yeah, you know what, maybe there is a silent majority. Maybe She-Hulk is, needed more so in Avengers 5 and Secret Wars. I think it's a terrible move that they want to make her an Avenger. I think that she's one of the more insufferable characters, in my opinion, even more so than Carol Danvers in the MCU. That's how I saw things. Whether you guys agree with me or not, that's fine, but that's just how I felt. I thought that She-Hulk was far worse than Captain Marvel. Now, when you look at things like this, we know that there's been a lot of failures for Disney, and Bob Iger may be very well be making the right choice here to withdraw from Kevin Feige's demands, but in the end, don't be too shocked if Bob Iger caves to Kevin Feige's demands, claiming that She-Hulk is needed, that there is this so-called quote-unquote silent majority that are really demanding She-Hulk to come back. But let's get into this further. Now, on top of that, Feige is even taking a stand that he will actually halt some MCU developments for, of course, the Marvel Universe, unless he gets back Tatiana at the center of attention for at least 2 Avengers films at some point in the movies. This is already creating a slight divide between Feige and the Disney executives, since they don't want to deal with Tatiana, but may be forced into that position. So look, again, we know that Bob Iger is one man that tends to cave when he gets put into a corner, whether it's for better or worse. This happened with Deadpool 3 for the better, Deadpool and Wolverine, where Ryan Reynolds, Shawn Levy, Hugh Jackman, Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, they all took a stand against Bob Iger and said, the reshoots from May until the beginning of June, no DEI elements getting in there, or at the very minimum, DEI elements. And that really created a whole ruckus, it created a whole back and forth tug of war situation, and it really fell into Ryan Reynolds' favor. He got a lot of things that he wanted for taking a stand and making these ultimatums against Disney. That was the good. In this case, I think it's more so the bad, because they know that they need Kevin Feige to put out MCU material, to put out MCU movies and television programs, and if he's going to begin to make that ultimatum of taking a stand and pausing developments because he wants Tatiana Maslany back, that really makes you wonder, is Bob Iger going to cave in the next couple of days to weeks of her overall position and returning into Avengers 5? We'll have to wait and see. We'll keep you guys updated on all of that. But overall, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.